Hello and welcome to the Silver Lining, the weekly geekly talk show where we discuss whatever we kind of feel like talking about, which is going to be very true today because we do this every once in a while, normally when I run out of ideas. And we are going to do viewer topics today. So you guys are going to give me stuff that we can talk about. So we can get into a little bit of a discussion. There are some things that I'm reluctant to talk about just for the simple fact that I don't know a whole lot about what's going on. But some people still want to hear my opinion on it, and sometimes maybe an uneducated opinion is the best way to go. You know, there are situations where politics is a big one for me. Politics is a very big one where people ask what the best thing is and what people think about what's going on. And then they give these very informed sort of, oh, well, because this is going on over here and that's going on over there, this is my assessment of everything. But the general public usually doesn't have that much information. The general public is usually at least a little bit uninformed about some things. So when you talk about how is the public feeling about something, a lot of the time too much information is not actually the average. You know what I mean? So that is a good way for me to justify the fact that we'll probably talk about a bunch of stuff today that I have no clue about. So today is the end. Today really is my silver lining because this has been a kind of rough week. I had some appointments scheduled that were not the most pleasant. I had some stuff going on in my house that I needed to get assessments for in order to figure out how much repairs were going to cost. Nothing dramatic. I'm not selling my collection off to fix the roof or anything like that. But I am going to be selling a couple of things for a reason that we will talk about later. But hello everyone to you, my co-host, the chat. Elements, King Chaos, Suave, Grant Me Power, Shadow, Craig, Siberian Ninja, Agent Ace Fox, Rye, and Flipnote, of course. Welcome. I hope everybody has been having a decent week. Like I said, I had sort of a weird week. One of the things that I did was... sure is windy at Uncle's house today. Yeah, it is a little bit windy. Probably because I'm talking into the microphone. Also, my camera is hooked up directly to my desk, so when I do this, everything moves a little bit. One of the things I had done, if you guys have been here for a little while, you know that one of the mainstay things that happens on this show is that the stream cuts out. I will just lose kilobytes per second, and everything will cut out. And then it may take a minute to come back up. It may take 10 minutes to come back up. I know last week, I think it was like 10 minutes long that it took to come back up. I had the cable guy finally come out today. That was a whole big thing. I called them, and I had an appointment for Thursday. I had an appointment for Thursday at between 2 and 4. You know how it is. You pick a time frame. 5 o'clock rolls around. Never got a confirmation call. Never got a call from the cable guy himself. I call them, and I'm furious. I call them, and I say, I had an appointment. I need to know what's going on. I stream. I am losing my patience here. So she goes into the system, and she says, oh, well, that appointment was canceled. I never received any notification that the appointment was canceled. None whatsoever. Not an email, not a phone call, not anything. They even do text messages. I never got anything like that. So I was furious. So I rescheduled the appointment. I told, look, I need another appointment, obviously, because the problem's not fixed. It was excruciating. I won't even go over, transferring to other people who had no idea what was going on. Telling me that they were going to credit me my account $40 as an apology. When I talked to somebody later, he goes, well, the $40 that she was crediting you was the charge for having a technician come out. Like, well, first of all, you're not going to be charging me anything because the technician never came out. Second of all, I don't understand why I have to pay $40 to have a guy come out when it's your service that's broken outside of my house. That's why if my modem was messed up and I didn't take care of it myself, I would understand, okay, I have to pay to have somebody come in here and do the thing that I can do. But if I need the guy to take a look at the line outside up on a pole, why am I paying for that? It was a whole big thing. Greg, are you canceling things? Did you sleep again? And I'm sorry, I went on a little rant there, so I missed the I missed a lot of what was going on in the chat there. But yeah, so that was the whole thing. So that guy came out today. He found one problem, which was that the connector right into the modem, there was a wire in there, and he thinks that the wire was touching, and it was touching the middle piece a little bit. If you ever seen a coaxial cable, it's like a wire, and then a shielding, and then the metal sort of braided wire around it, and then more shielding. One of those little strands was touching the middle, and he thinks that that's what was shorting it out. So this is a test stream. I almost was not going to do the show today just because I would rather have done a test stream with a game, but I wanted to do the show. I love hanging out with you guys, and I love talking about this stuff, and I love venting a little bit. But he was a nice guy, so that was all okay. Matt, it was. I'll have to talk to Matt and find out if all of his coworkers are this cool. But yeah, so that was sort of like my week in a nutshell. So let me scroll up here. As of this moment, right this second, if you have a topic that you want to discuss, post it. I know you guys have already been posting them, but I went on a rant. So if you guys have stuff that you want to talk about, we will try and talk about it in the order that they come in. Aqua, what's going on? They charged me $70 to come look at my service as well. It's sad that the best service is also pretty scummy. Yeah. I don't know if it's the best service, but how about animation? How about Funimation is leaving Crunchyroll? I don't know too much about what is going on with the. I mean, I know that they're pulling their shows, and then I believe Funimation has their own service. If you go to their website, I think they have a service that they're trying to sell. That's not too surprising that they would do that if they're trying to boost their own service. I think Crunchyroll. I would love to know what percentage of shows on Crunchyroll are Funimation. Donut Shop, Dunkin' Donuts brand coffee. Crunchyroll got that's what it was. Crunchyroll got bought by Sony, so I guess Funimation either chose to leave or did not come with that package. So I'm interested in seeing what leaves Crunchyroll. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have access to a Crunchyroll account, and I have not watched it very much lately. That's just because I just don't have the time to sit down and really binge watch a show. I do know that a lot of the stuff that I like to watch, which is a little bit older usually, is not on Crunchyroll, so it doesn't really appeal to me. I think I would be more interested in a service that offered me older anime. I can't tell you how many I've gone to Hulu and Netflix and Amazon and Crunchyroll, and I'll even try Funimation, but I can't find anybody that has the complete Tenchi or the complete Love Hina. I can't find anybody that has that stuff, and I would love to track it down and watch it that way, but I don't know any services that focus on older anime. So I'd be interested to find a service that does that, if anybody knows one. It's not like Kiss Anime, because that's ridiculous. This sounds very familiar. We had technicians basically ask us to do it ourselves. After threatening to leave the company, they sent an engineer free of charge that finally found the problem, which was the cable outside was just rough. Yeah, Suave, the guy told me that the outside cable was like ancient. So in the end, it wasn't our fault. Yeah, it was their equipment they forgot to check on. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what they were not understanding on the phone was I don't need somebody to come into my house and change my modem. I need somebody to go up onto the pole and check the box that's outside or whatever the hell it is that's out there. Greg, can we discuss how to detect scumbag sellers? Like I said, I'm gonna try and keep up with the chat. But I know that you know how I am. I talk and rants. Greg, can we discuss how to detect scumbag sellers? I think the best thing you can do to detect a scumbag seller, watch out for bad business practices. Don't buy from somebody who doesn't want to show you pictures. If you're buying in person, don't buy a game from someone who doesn't let you open up the game to take a look at it. Don't let them tell you, oh, well, it breaks it or reduces it. No, it doesn't. You have seen on this show plenty of times we open up Super Nintendo games all the time. It does not reduce the value to have the bit, to unscrew that thing, look at the chip, go online and compare it to chips that are legit and say, okay, it's in good condition. This is a legit one. There's nothing that drops the value for that. Ultimately, the best thing you can do to avoid scumbag sellers is to be informed. Know what you're supposed to be looking for. If you're talking about dollar NES games, if you get burned, it's going to suck, but it's going to suck $1 worth. You know what I mean? If you're talking about buying $100 game, a $100 NES game or Super Nintendo game, you as the buyer also have some responsibility to go online, look at pictures of legit versions, know what the labels are supposed to look like, know which ones are the variants and which ones are the expensive ones and which ones are the cheap ones. You do have some responsibility there. So be an informed buyer and shopper. And I have never been burned by a scumbag seller. Be informed and you won't be either. Getting a laptop tomorrow. Very nice, Rye. Just finished taking a shower. All right, so we're going to scroll down here a little bit. Have you been affected by a game getting pulled from digital stores that you can't play anymore? Suave. Scott Pilgrim. I can't. I don't know any way to play that game anymore. I don't think it's available for purchase anymore. I would love to play it. I have heard that is a better beat 'em up than Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo, and I think Turtles in Time is the single best beat 'em up game of all time. And I've heard that is better. I played a demo of it and I loved it, but I couldn't afford it at the time, and now it is my understanding that it is gone. I have hey Rocky Bear, and hey Spectre. I have an interview coming up for a pretty good job and a solid advice. Ask solid advice for a job interview. Ask follow-up questions. Don't be arrogant. Don't act like you know everything. Make sure that if they ask you things that you know, that you are informative, but at the same time you're willing to learn. You're more interested to learn what they want to do. Try to have your questions ready as far as anything that might be important to you. Some people are afraid to ask what the pay is. That's a valid question. That's a very important question that you need to be aware of, because that does change the job for some people. If you go into a job and you're very qualified and they say it's $9 an hour, you have a right to look at them and say, that's not really something that I'm into. Don't be, like I said, don't be arrogant about it, but be informative. Make it clear that you are capable, but that you want to be part of the team. You are capable, but you're going to also learn what they teach you. How about Sailor Moon is stuck with Sailor Moon is stuck with Hulu now. Is the original Sailor Moon on Hulu, or is it Sailor Moon Crystal? It's not a topic, but I do have a riddle for you. Poor people have me, rich people need me, and if you eat me, you'll die. Hold on. All right. Poor people have me, rich people need me. Humble pie? If you eat me, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to mull it over too much. Yeah, I tend to only watch older anime. High Dive. Okay, somebody's saying High Dive for who's that? I just saw that name and for some reason I just ignored it. Lizard. Hello, Lizard. Lizard said High Dive. Oh God, I'm like way down on the chat. Do you think a company have a potential to become consistent? Only if Shadow. Only if do you think a company has a potential to become a consistent scumbag seller? Only if customers allow it. But more people need to realize that power is with the consumer. Any company doing anything unscrupulous has the power to be brought down by people simply shopping somewhere else. What about the whole 100-hour work rumors regarding Rockstar? My understanding of that, I'm not gonna comment on that much, because my understanding of that is that we don't have the whole story. That not all employees were meant to were working 100-hour weeks. I know that it is a ridiculous thing to have people do, but I do know that my understanding is that it was not everybody, and I don't know how willing the people who were to do it did it. You know what I mean? I don't know if they were told you do this or you're fired, or if they were simply told, look, we want to get this game out, we need people to do it, and people volunteered. I just don't know enough about that situation. I'm going to sell this game for $100 and the box for $80 and the manual for $60. If somebody sells the game for $100 and the box for $80 and the manual for $60, that's $240. The only reason it's worth $240 is because someone's going to pay it. If nobody buys it, they're never going to sell it for that. That's what's happening by November 9th. All Funimation dub and sub shows are leaving Crunchyroll. Flip note, is there a list of the Funimation shows that are leaving Crunchyroll? And is there any word on when those shows are going to pop up on their own service? All right, so let's jump ahead here. I remember watching Sailor Moon with the guy with the weird classes, and it's clearly Ash Ketchum in the Swedish. Oh, okay. The answer is nothing. Oh, nothing. Yeah, poor people have nothing. Rich people have nothing, and if you eat nothing, you'll die. No, poor people have nothing. Rich people want nothing. I think that's what it is. You said rich people have nothing. No, rich people have something. They've got money. How about Pokemon Let's Go has a post game that's just padding and nothing but bragging rights? What's the post game? Because technically every Pokemon game had a post game. You know, once you've collected them all and you went through all the story, the whole idea of, oh, now we have to go to the champions area, to me that's post-game content. If it's not story related, it's post-game content. So technically all Pokemon games had a post-game. All Pokemon games had a story mode that when you finish the story mode, then there was, well, we got to go to the champions area, you know, but it didn't actually do anything for the story. Salmon headed out. I got to head out early. Sorry, Salmon. If I missed you, if you're gone already, then I apologize. All right, so let me see here. In the mood for sushi after hearing a lot about Crunchyroll. Rocky, I don't like sushi, but now that you've mentioned sushi, I am in the mood for ramen. Do you think people should read the article before jumping to conclusions from just the title? Absolutely. Referring to the Rockstar thing. Absolutely. I suspect that title is not 100, because I did read the article, but I read the article when it first came out, and I know that there's been more information after that. I think that people read the title and they jump to the conclusions, but as long as it's not clickbait, that title does have some accuracy. Both Funimation and Crunchyroll are working to compile a list of anime leaving. Okay, I mean, I don't know how hard it is to compile a list, given that you just type in Funimation and Crunchyroll. Like, they have to have a database that they type in Funimation shows, and then all those shows are leaving. It seems that the post game for Pokemon Let's Go is facing off against the specialized trainers that only use one kind of Pokemon, and you can't use items as well. You must use the same Pokemon from your opponent. Your opponent is using. So Aqua, yeah, basically just a champion sort of mode. Ramen sounds good. I just finished my lunch from Wingstop. They have good ramen. All legends, you have 151 Pokemon. Yeah, you level them up to 70. No why. Okay. Talk about cool stuff hidden out of bounds or behind areas that players aren't supposed to. I just saw an article about that, or a video about that. I like those areas. I like those fun, like the cow level from Diablo. What was it, Diablo 1? It was like rumored to be there, but it didn't exist. But then they actually put it in Diablo 2 or something. I forget exactly how that worked. I like that stuff. I like those little secret things. I suspect that some of that stuff that gets listed as the room we weren't supposed to find, if it's programmed with a joke in it, like the whole thing with what was it, Silent Hill 2, where, oh, there's a dog running it. This is the secret area you weren't supposed to find. If it was a secret area you weren't supposed to ever find, they wouldn't have programmed something into it. Like, there's a reason for it. I think, like, yeah, Diablo 1 had no cow level, but Diablo 2 did. But it started because the rumor was that there was a cow level in Diablo 1, and it never actually had one. So then they put one in Diablo 2. As is my understanding. I only ever really played Diablo 3. Black Sabbath is deadly. It's Black Sunday for Crunchyroll translation, apparently. I love the Silent Hill 2 dog ending. Yeah, that's why I always love it when people are like, "Oh my god, this is what's the one in Link to the Past, the Chris Houlihan room or something? Like, this is secret rooms you weren't supposed to find." They literally programmed stuff in that room as a secret. Like, you were supposed to find it. It wasn't supposed to be easy, but eventually you were supposed to find it. I got a top comment on a Chugga Conroy video. Almost 400 likes. Yeah, you went like YouTube viral. Question, Greg, concerning Pokemon. Do you really care if the Pokemon games have any post-game content? I come to realize recent years that I personally don't care as much if Pokemon game has post-game story. I care about the main story. I usually try and battle in the champions area through at least once. Once I do that, I really don't care anymore. I really just kind of stop caring. Yeah, once I find out I have reached the end of the story mode, I am usually pretty uninterested. My point is that if the people behind Pokemon suggest instead of a difficulty select for the main campaign, you have to play the majority of the game just to have a challenge. Flipnote, they did that with the very first Kirby game on the Game Boy. The first playthrough was actually relatively easy, and then you could play through it again in a harder mode, which a lot of people consider the normal mode. I remember when I got a top comment on a BSC Shadow the Hedgehog part. It didn't last long, though. The Houlihan room was created to avoid having the game crash or break the game. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's sort of a necessary area, but they turn it into something fun. Been playing Breath of the Wild and decided to do as many shrines as I can before I do the main quest because I'm in that. Froban, before I did the main quest, I opened all of the towers. Before I did any main questing, I went through the entire land and opened up all of the towers because I knew that the questing and then the side questing were going to start taking me to a bunch of weird places. So I wanted to open up fast travel for the entire map. Honestly, I wish they didn't reveal the post-game. That sort of stuff should be left to us players to find out. Agent Fox, that falls under the spoiler category. We've talked here about spoilers before and what you consider spoilers and what you don't consider spoilers. Telling people that when you beat the storyline mode, there's a whole other mode. to me does constitute a spoiler. Like, you should have waited for people to find that out. People should have bought the game and beaten it, and then it should have been an online thing of, oh my god, there's tons more to the story. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels is a good book that details a lot of the difficulties of game development, and it mentions massive unpaid overtime a lot, especially when talking about Witcher 3 and Uncharted 4. Yeah, when they talk about the Rockstar thing in 100 hours, and I remember Sausage Party, the movie, had a whole bunch of stuff where people weren't getting paid, and I think to this day they still haven't gotten paid, which is why I've never watched that movie. I remember thinking, I'm willing to bet that this happens a lot more than people think. And unfortunately, and I'm going to draw a nasty parallel here, and it is not in any way comparable in magnitude. But it's sort of like that the Me Too movement, where people are finally coming out about the things that have happened to them. These are not new things that are happening. You're just now hearing about it. People are finally willing to talk about these things that are going on, and you're thinking, oh my god, it happens so much nowadays. No. It's been happening the entire time. And as far as the video game stuff goes, this has been an issue since the Atari days. See, a lot of people, when it comes to the video game crash of '83, a lot of people like to joke around, and some people actually do believe that E.T., the Atari game, was to blame for it. The reality is that E.T. was a symptom of the problems that were going on inside the video game development business, which is workers being overworked, deadlines that could not be met, developers, the heads of these development companies telling their employees, you absolutely have to do this. And employees feeling like they had to do this because at that point in the video game business, there were not other places they can go. If you work for the people who work for Telltale Games, with their whole disaster, while it sucks, I am confident that there are dozens, if not hundreds, of companies that they can put their resume in, and they can take their experience and turn it into a new career with that other company. That was not the case in the early 80s. There were not other video game companies that were viable to go to and say, I worked at Atari for this long, how about a job here? It didn't work. So it was understandable that with that sort of behavior, that industry churned out crap. And the E.T. and it's funny because people say E.T. was sort of the culmination of that, even though the best example of that, I think E.T. and then I think Pac-Man. Pac-Man was another one where I think Pac-Man wasn't Pac-Man programmed in like 4 weeks or something because they needed it out on the shelves at a certain point. And I can't imagine if it was done. I mean, the game was awful, but it done in 4 weeks in that day and age, I imagine took a lot out of some people. All right, so let me scroll up here a little bit. Kirby was meant to be first platformer. Do you put hot sauce in your ramen? I don't put hot sauce in my ramen because I don't like hot sauce. I like spicy, but not hot sauce. Hot sauce changes the flavor of the food, and I don't like it. Spicy ramen is actually a very common thing. In Japan, apparently, they love their spicy ramen. So that it's not weird that you have spicy ramen. I just don't like spicy. I don't like hot sauce because hot sauce has a flavor all its own. And it to me, it's kind of like, oh, I like having sugar in my coffee, so I'm going to use hazelnut creamer. Like, I love hazelnut creamer, but if all I want is sugar, I would not use that. It's going to add some sweetness, but it's also going to change the flavor of the coffee. That's why I don't like hot sauce. Ironically enough, one of the developers for the least amount of crunch and overtime is Insomniac. Spider-Man PS4, well, we know how long that took. Apparently has a really smooth development with basically no crunch period. Oh, yeah, Elements. Yeah, the video game crash only occurred in America. We've been putting hot sauce in my ramen since I was a child, but I don't have hot sauce when I eat my ramen. No way. Oh, Rye, you said I know, right? And I thought you were making a Fortnite joke. See, all those letters jumbled together. Only 20% of Telltale devs have gotten new jobs as of this point. I don't think that they're going to be looking for work for very long. Spicy ramen is good. Burns the mouth, though. How did your first gaming session go? I don't think it was around when you talked about it. My first gaming session? What do you mean? Like ever? Are you going to see the new Halloween? Bruh, no. Horror movies and scary movies just don't do it for me. I appreciate the exhilaration that they cause in other people, and I can understand why other people get a kick out of that. I just was never really interested in horror movies. I don't like the whole being scared at all, like jump scares and stuff like that. It just never, I never got it. Like, it was never the thing for me. Sushi is amazing, but man, it's not for everyone. So Uncle doesn't like hot sauce, yogurt, sushi. What other foods do you dislike? A lot. Rye, a lot. I've had a discussion here about being a picky eater. I've been a picky eater all of my life. But yeah, I've like very, very, very picky. See, I keep bumping my whole setup here. Very, very picky eater. I've only in the last couple of years been more open about it, because it's a very difficult thing to have to deal with. I mean, it's not torturous to have to deal with, but there are ways that I have had to navigate me being a picky eater. Going places where I know I either don't know the menu, or I know that the menu is going to be stuff that I don't like, so I make sure to stop and get food before. So when I tell people, oh, that's okay, I already ate something, I'm not lying, and I'm also not hungry. Just nervous because I want to be in the game industry, but it sounds like it's easy to be exploited. Lock the chest. It also sounds like, though, with the video game industry the way that it is, if depending on what skills you have as a developer, that there is a lot of ground out there to be covered by very, very independent developers. You could probably list on two hands the number of games that have been super successful and programmed by less than like 3 people. But some of those games have been incredibly successful, or at the very least very lucrative. So as far as being a developer goes, it almost seems like you could get your foot in the door by working with a company and then move on to doing your own thing if you have the inclination to do so. I know we talked a little bit, but can we talk about how Toys R Us is canceling its bankruptcy? Yeah, Toys R Us canceling its bankruptcy is kind of scummy. Although I understand, because a lot of the discussion has been, will they be hiring some of those people back? My understanding of what they're doing is that they're going to be opening basically stores within stores. They're going to be opening these Jeffrey's Toy Boxes, which will essentially be the toy department for some stores. I is the way I understood it. So they're going to use the employees that work at those stores in order to staff those things. They might not even be permanent. They might be, because there are businesses out there. If you go to places like Kohl's, if you guys have Kohl's in your area, we used to have JCPenney. I think JCPenney's still around. Places like that, places where they are clothing and department stores but don't have toy departments. Every Christmas, especially, we have a Kohl's around here and they do it every year. Every Christmas, they section off an area or they roll these carts out into the middle of the aisle, and they've got toys. They've got these discount, blatantly like the way there's store brand food. You know how there's like, you go in and there's Acme cereal and stuff. they basically will be the ones doing that. That is my understanding of these Jeffrey's toy boxes. That you'll go to a place like Kohl's, and rather than just a bunch of random toys in the aisles, you will have an area that is sectioned off, labeled Jeffrey's Toy Box, and then they will be the ones selling the toys, which will then be better quality toys. It's interesting. It still sucks that the people who lost their jobs are not going to be getting any compensation for it. If they don't get their jobs back, that's unfortunate. But I wish that when it all happened, they had at least gotten some compensation for what happened. I'm not that particular about food, but some food I will eat slower. Would you prefer classic horror such as Dracula? Personally, I prefer those stories over. No, I don't like Aqua. I don't like horror movies that the point is to scare you. If you want to tell a creepy story with creepy atmosphere, I'm good with that. Stuff like American Horror Story, I'm fine with. It's not about jumping out and scaring you, and it's not hollow, like just trying to gross you out. Like gore movies, like Saw and stuff, that's not interesting to me. Saw is not interesting to me. Final Destination is not interesting to me. Final Destination is, 6 movies? It's just a giant Rube Goldberg machine on how to kill people. It shows you how many steps you can get from tiny little thing, from the butterfly flapping its wings to the storm on the other side of the world, aka somebody getting decapitated. That's not interesting to me. If you want to tell me an interesting horror story, that's a little more up my alley. I just tell everyone I don't like seafood. It usually solves any dinner problem. Suave, as a picky eater, I can tell you right now that does not help, because when you start to say things like that, then it becomes, let's see what we can get you to eat. I don't like this chicken. It's got this stuff on it. Oh, well, why don't we just take this stuff off? Or how about I just don't eat the chicken? Yeah, believe me, it's way more complicated than you think. Fine if y'all don't like seafood, just means more for me. Toys R Us still exists. Yeah, Toys R Us is fine in Canada. Oh, Sean, how was my first D&D session? Not awesome. My first, for 2 weeks ago, I had my first session of D&D, and it was not the best, only because the guy, it was supposed to be a class for beginners, but I was the only one there who had never played the game, so the guy was talking to everybody as if they should have already had some basic knowledge of what's going on, and I did not. So all we did was character creation, and a lot of the things he was saying, he was saying, okay, well, you have these figures, so you're going to create this, and then your proficiency, so this is going to be this number, this is going to be this number, your saving throw is going to be this number, and I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how are you coming up with these numbers? Turns out there's a chart for, okay, your charisma is 15, so that means that your proficiency in this, or your saving throw in this is +3 or whatever. All you had to say was there was a chart and it's on page whatever, and it was a lot of that. And then for the last 2 weeks, I haven't been able to go. Just things have been going on, and it just was not in my mind to go. Give me lobster and oysters. I'll be a happy camper. In the UK, after our Toys R Us, we're left with the Entertainer and Smiths, or Smyths. I like Smyths. The latter being the proper British equivalent. So, okay. Acme. Let's roll down here. It's a Southern tradition to pretty much ignore your food preferences and try to stuff food down your throat. Like, no, you don't have this food, doesn't exist. It just turns into you have to try the mac and cheese. Yeah, I have a personal grudge against mac and cheese. I think mac and cheese is a comfort food that's supposed to be very easy to make, so I can't stand, my mac and cheese has 4 kinds of cheeses and a breaded topping and all this and that. It's like, all right, you way overcomplicated. The reason it's comfort food is because it's supposed to be easy. I'm supposed to pour the macaroni into the boiling water. I'm supposed to add the glowing orange cheese powder, and then I'm supposed to mix it up and eat it. Greg's grandma's on the hit list. No, Sean, he did not destroy my interest in D&D, but now I understand. I do have a better understanding of what I need to do for my character creation. I also think I have the understanding that that kind of setting is probably not going to be the best for me to learn the game. I definitely need a more personal touch, which means hanging out with people that I know who are going to... I don't mind hanging out with a bunch of people who know how to play the game, and I don't. I want to have people that I'm comfortable to say, okay, look, I have no idea what this thing is. I want mac and cheese now. I'm the only gamer in my group of family and friends. Yeah, Rocky Bear. So was I. That's why, other than my nephew, that's why I got a lot of single player games. Are you streaming? Oh God, Splatfest is tonight. Oh God. My current D&D campaign is going great thanks to a joke my DM made. I ended up making Krillin from Dragon Ball Z. I have a very odd character that I want to create, and I really don't know. I don't even know if it's possible, but I think that's why I'm still very interested in D&D, because I have a high interest in creating these unique characters. I want rice to talk of food. Remind me what I read about growing rice in Japan. Is it significantly different? I mean, I know their rice is more sticky, and I know that like people have died from trying to eat mochi or eating too much mochi, which only makes me want mochi more. The SpongeBob episode with the health inspector was dark. Oh God. Splatfest. Yeah, I did not know that Splatfest was going on. I knew there was a Splatfest going on. Somebody brought this up earlier, and I did kind of want to address this. $1 billion for the lottery this weekend. I think between the Mega Millions and the Powerball, it's well over $1 billion or something. Good Lord, I got news for you. Money buys happiness. Oh yeah. Beth just chimed in. Yeah, right. You mentioned that. There was a radio station giving away lottery tickets, so she happened to be in the area and she got a lottery ticket. I think the only thing is that if we win, when we win, we have to give them $9 million, which I'm going to assume is like $1 million for each person on the radio show. She said yes. So that's totally fine. I'll be honest with you. If I ended up with a lottery ticket that nets me at the end of it all $100 million, I'm probably going to give a large chunk of that money away just because I don't want to have to deal with it. Money to take me well into death is fine by me. I'm okay with that. I think the person gets that. Well, it's over $1 billion, but that's between the Mega Millions and the Powerball combined. First of all, you would have to be struck by lightning 66 times before you'd win both of those lotteries at once. That's the kind of fortune or misfortune you'd be prone to. Then I think the money is like I've always heard of it as half of half. So if you win $100 million, you end up getting $25-30 million. Oh no, looks like I'm down to 5 Ferraris. So it's interesting, but I just don't need that much money. For the life of me, I can't imagine spending that much money. Like, I don't want anything in my life that requires me to spend that much money. Like, I buy my own private plane and get a yacht and do it. Why? Oh my God, that sounds horrible. That sounds like you intend to live a life that at no point includes sitting on a couch and watching TV. Well, not watching TV, playing video games. Two of my favorite pastimes. I don't bother with Powerball. Someone in California is going to get it anyway. Yeah, it's always going to be an elderly person. Which I don't think it's always an elderly person. I have a feeling whenever it's the elderly people that win those Powerball tickets, I have the strong suspicion that it's a younger person that won and gave it to their grandparent in order to claim the money, because elderly people don't pay taxes or something. There's certain taxes that elderly people don't pay. So if you give it to your grandmom to say that she won, you save millions of dollars. I don't care that much about the money. I'm good. This is the way I've heard that you're supposed to do it when it comes to claiming that much money. You're supposed to talk to a lawyer and you're supposed to start a trust. The trust has a name. You name the trust. The trust claims the ticket, claims the lottery ticket. You're not supposed to go and say, I won the lottery, because now they can say your name. When you claim it under a trust, the name of the trust is claimed to have won the ticket. And then the names of the people within that trust, I think, are kept private. As is my understanding, you know. I'm as you can see here behind me, my fortune is vast, but it is not that vast. This is not under a trust. I simply trust that my house doesn't burn down and it's all here when I come home. I'll tell you what, my streaming setup would be a lot bigger. It was I dare say it would be called a set at that point. It was a part of learning about culture of Japan. You can get get a sense of what and how a culture develops by looking towards their geography and what crop they rely on cultivated. In this case, rice is the most important crop in Japan. It requires a group effort to help grow. It is for this reason that Japan leans towards being a collective culture. I know that the agricultural geography has some part in it, because I believe they have a lot of wetlands, and that is necessary to, again, as is my understanding, that is necessary to grow rice. I know that there were stories about how in the U.S., when the U.S. was first being settled, there were a lot of places down south because they had wetlands and swamplands and stuff like that, and they were good areas to grow rice. So they were a lot of, but yes, it is a group effort. It is it takes a village to raise a lot of farm. If you ever win the lottery, check the fine print of the rules. Some states force you to reveal your name if you sign the ticket. That's why, Ace, that's why you don't do it. You have the trust sign the ticket and claim the ticket. And then the name of the trust. When people hear that Uncle Silver won the ticket, a lot of people are going to go, hey, you mean my eighth cousin twice removed? When they hear the Hokuten Trust has claimed the ticket, nobody cares. I mean, Final Fantasy Tactics fans would care, but they're the only ones that are going to know what that is. I'd be stacked for life, including my descendants. My descendants can fend for themselves. What do you think about Cuphead coming to Mac, even though it was supposed to be a Microsoft exclusive? I didn't know it was coming to Mac. That kind of upsets me because I want it to come to the Switch. You should name your D&D character Larry Tesler. Is that like an Elon Musk joke? Because he drives a Tesla? I know it's a Tesla. You can have a substitute collect the earnings for you. Yeah, Ace, I just don't trust people that much. Jump ahead here. As a kid, I told my mom I wanted to be a pizza taster for my career. Yes. She told me they don't pay people to do that. 2 weeks ago, she apologized when she saw in the news that there was a company that pays someone to taste pizza for them. Well, Rocky Bear, there are companies out there that pay for people to go and have food at different restaurants. Uncle Silver Trust. Just use your screen name. What's the number one game on your backlog that you should probably get around to playing? I stopped Nier Automata and Detroit Become Human halfway through, so they are probably the most recent examples of games that I should probably play at some point. I stopped both of them halfway through. If I won the lottery, I'd probably vanish for a few years. I have some things I need to set up, and I'll probably be in another country. Sean, I have always said, and I can't say that it wouldn't be the case, that I would probably pack up all of the things that I want to keep. You know, there's the personal stuff, there's the photo albums, there's my collection, of course. Box it up and just go. And call the bank and tell them, listen, you can come take the house back. I don't care. Actually, I'd probably talk to my family first. Like, does anybody want the house? No? Okay. I call the bank. Just take it. I don't want to have to deal with selling it. I don't want to have to deal with anything that comes with selling it. I don't want to be responsible for repairs. I don't want to do any of that. I don't care that it's a loss. I've got $100 million in the bank. I have all my personal belongings. I'm not coming back. I'll mail you the keys. You had set up the Hokuten Trust. Sean, now I wouldn't say it since I said it. Now I wouldn't do that since I said it. But yeah, I would set up a trust with some name that I got a kick out of. As a gamer, your fortune is vast. Anyway, I agree, and I think that I need that much money either. Another thing is that people tend to not be responsible enough to handle that much money. Yeah, I don't need so much money that I need to become a different person. I just need enough money so that I can be the person that I am, just more. You know, I still want to collect video games, but I want to have a bigger collection. I still want to go to conventions to collect video games. I just want to be able to go to conventions that are further away. I still want to stream, but I would like a bigger streaming setup and more time to do it. You know, all I want to do is the same things that I always do, just more of it. And that's all I need the money for. You have to find and clear out my Amazon shopping cart. Oh, you know what I would do? I'll tell you, here's my humanitarian thing that I do with $100 million. I have heard before people say that it would be in the, like, not much, a drop in the bucket compared to what the country makes. I have heard that it wouldn't take that much money to fix the Flint, Michigan water situation. And I feel like with $100 million in the bank, I would probably go to Flint, Michigan and like, look, let me help you. No one else is fixing this for you, so I'm going to fix this for you. Ooh, what did Aiden say? Rye, I didn't see what Aiden said. Rye, you can go hungry, you can quit your job. I would, but not fast. I think I would stay at my job just long enough to make sure to tell the people that I need to tell to F themselves. Oh, it looked like spam. I would get a decent house, get a normal stuff. Yeah, that's what I would do, bro. Whenever I talk to people about winning the lottery and they want to get on planes and fly around the world and do all of this, I'm sitting there thinking I'm probably going to go to Best Buy and buy a bigger TV. That's probably what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to go fill up my cart with PS4 games that I'm probably never going to play. Oh, actually, you know what? I tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go online and I'm going to get myself a PC Engine Duo. There you go. And a Vectrex. That's what I want to do. Yeah, something about trading nudes for sub gifts. You just inbox me that later. I would travel, to be honest. I love seeing the world. See, I'm still at a point where a family member contacted us and we had talked about I think I'm ready to finally try and get on a plane. The problem is that it's expensive to buy a plane ticket, and I don't want to buy a plane ticket to somewhere and not be able to get on the plane and just be out that money. So we were talking about it with a family member, and they said that for Christmas they would be willing to buy us a plane ticket so we can go. I would probably just go to see them, but they said that they'd be willing to buy the ticket to see if I would be okay with it. So I may do that. Slides into Greg's DMs. So with that money, if you couldn't leave the country for whatever reason, would you at least move to New York or California? Neither one of those places. I would not move to New York. New York is a fantastic place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. California also seems like a fantastic place to visit, but I don't like earthquakes. Truth be told, I would probably move north from here. I would more than likely go to somewhere like Connecticut. I've been to Connecticut several times, and I really do like it there. I like the colder weather. I like the lack of summer is really the way I should say that. And I think it's a beautiful place for the things that I've seen. I love to visit Egypt. I just hate the culture there. Oh boy. Asian culture. Japan is obvious. If I did have this much money, I would quit the job I have and invest part of it to university. Oh, okay. Let's use the free time to volunteer more as a master naturalist and create a garden, which I'm planning to do either way. The rest I would say for other things. The biggest question is, what would you do? Like, that's the question we've been talking about. What would you do? The answer that I always have is the same. I would do whatever I felt like doing. If I woke up one day and decided I want to go buy a guitar and try and play guitar and see what that's like, I would go out and buy a guitar and buy a video and get lessons. If I decided the next day I really don't feel like getting up and cooking and going out, so I'm going to play video games and order food, I'm going to order breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would do that. That's all I would want to do. It's just whatever I felt like doing at that time. Like, I'm enamored with Japanese culture, so I would love to go to Japan. I would absolutely be the person who says, what are we doing next week? I don't know. You want to go to Japan for a few days? Sure. I want to visit the U.S., go on a big road trip, meet all my online friends. That's great. Lock the chest. That's a great idea. I'd move to Japan. If not Japan, then the UK or Paris. I know that moving to another country can be difficult. I know that there are a lot of loopholes. Well, not loopholes, but later, Lady Foxheart, have a good one. But I know that there are a lot of things that you have to do in order to be able to move to another country, even if you have a lot of money. So I'd be interested to see, but I don't know. I feel like I like the fantasy of moving to another country that I really love, like the fantasy of moving to Japan. But when you have this much money and you can just get on a plane and go there whenever you feel like it, why would you leave where you are, where you're more comfortable, where your family and your friends are? You know, there's no reason to leave if you can just go. We fantasize about going and living there because we want to take in as much of it as we can, but we know that we can't. But if you've got $100 million in the bank, you can. You can go there every other week if you really wanted to do it. So I fantasize about it, but at the same time, I know that, you know what, I'm gonna buy a nice house closer to where I am already, and I'll just go there whenever I feel like it. My friend is currently in Nippon. Oh, aboard in Japan with. Well, that's abroad in Japan. He is doing a cycle right now. He is cycling through Japan right now, and I'm a little jealous of him. I'd go to Canada right now. See, yeah, why not just do that? Well, Lizard, I know where you're going to Canada for. I'll be right behind you. I would live in Japan and never come back. See, Rye, you would come unless you brought all your family with you. The few family that you actually care about, because let's face it, we don't care about all of our family. But unless you brought them with you, you'd come back and actually, no, you wouldn't. You would fly them out to see you. Traveling is another thing I would like to do if I had this much money, and Japan is on the top of my list. with my case, I don't want to go there to go on vacation. I want to have an event. See, Aqua, you can go there to go on vacation. You can have like an adventure vacation. The problem is you definitely would need to be there for longer than a week. You know, that's a 2-week trip. That is a very expensive JR pass. You would need a Japanese rail pass to go up and down the country. It's a very expensive trip. And that's exactly what I was talking about. That's why we like to fantasize about living in places like that, because in order for us to go there and have the adventure that we want, it takes a lot of money. And so it's easier if you just live there. If you had that much money and you could just go whenever, if you wanted to go to Kyoto and explore Kyoto and you wanted to walk around Tokyo and not be able to do anything because Tokyo is half of it is tourist traps from what I understand. And if you want to go to Niigata Prefecture and you want to, Hokkaido is one of the places I would really, really love to go. If you want to do all of those things, if you've got this much money, why don't you could just plan 4 separate trips. You know what I mean? You go to Kyoto and you explore. Oh, later, flip note. You go to Kyoto and you spend a week or 2 weeks in Kyoto. Then you come back home and then you relax, you decompress. And you get on a plane and you go to Hokkaido. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of keep doing it. I have some espresso liquor in a drawer here. At the very least, I'd use that money to study abroad in Italy during the summer. Very nice. I would like to see Venice just to see them get around on the little boats, the gondolas. You know, I think that's one of my things that I would want to do is I would want to involve myself with multiple cultures. I would like to see what goes into a lot of these cultures from their perspective. I don't want to go to an onsen here. I want to go to an onsen in Japan, which I saw you mention. The public onsens, right? Would you try one of those out? Siberian, the onsens or just the bathhouses? Because there's 2 separate things. The onsens are like the hot springs. The bathhouses are. I would try the onsen. No problem whatsoever. I do suspect that I would have trouble going into an onsen because I have a couple of tattoos. I would have more tattoos, by the way. And I know that there are not a lot of them that allow tattoos. Onsen, Latimer, onsen is a hot spring. Onsen is a naturally occurring hot spring. But there are a lot of them that don't allow it. That's why there's the hot spring and then there's the bathhouses. You go to the bathhouses, they have tubs that you can sit in and then the little shower areas, but the whole place is like tiled up. It's like a gigantic shower and bathing area. The onsen is when you see like the natural hot springs and it's surrounded by forests and stuff. That's that. Are you cleaning some games today? Rocky, I don't think I'm going to clean some games today. I might do another stream later tonight just to test this new connection, but I don't think I'm going to stream any game cleaning today. I'd like to maybe go to Iran. I've been interested in learning some Persian. Very interesting. You don't in today's political climate, you don't see a lot of people eager to go to Middle East countries. And that's a shame because I feel like their culture is wildly interesting. It's just unfortunately it does get bogged down with a lot of the political stuff that's going on now and has been going on for a while actually. I mean, I can go on a rant about why I don't like the stuff and the business and culture around it, but now's not the time. Wait, are there Japanese style bathhouses here in the U.S.? Not that I'm aware of. I don't think Japanese style bathhouses would work here at all just because I think people would freak out about it. Truth be told, I don't like seeing some dude's junk when I'm at the gym, but that's mostly because I know that it's not, he's just been sweating all day and it's kind of gross and like, like it's more to do with that. Like I feel like if I was in an area where that was the normal thing that was happening, I'd be okay with it. But it's not there, so it's not okay. Middle East countries done a lot of great stuff, but people just focus on, oh my God, brown terrorists. Oh God. And I hate it, bro. But that's kind of the problem. Going to a Middle Eastern country as an American can be very dangerous. Going a lot of places as an American can be very dangerous, or at the very least unpleasant. I've known several people that have gone to France, and most of them have confirmed that when people realize you're American, there is an immediate shift in how they behave towards you. Fascinated with medieval Middle East because it's the home of maths and a lot of scientific discoveries and art. But yeah, the political climate is pretty rocky over there. I'll take anything with a sauna. I did a dry sauna a few times. We went to this place, like a couples resort, for our honeymoon, and then we went again a few years after that. And it's a dry sauna. It's not like the steam. It's this unit that makes the room super duper hot. It's awesome. If you guys have never done any kind of sauna, book some time and go. It feels amazing. Being an American in America's dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. You cause all kinds of problems. Are French people jerks to Americans? Ace, that is not 100%, but like I said, I've known multiple people that have gone to France, and a lot of them have said that depending on where you are, once they find out you're American, they are anywhere from not nice to unbelievably rude. And I can't speak for that. I've never gone there, so I can't speak for that myself. But there's only so many times you can hear it before you start to think, is it accurate? That seems a little accurate. A dry sauna, huh? I'll check that out. Yeah. Even if you go to, I would imagine another kind of sauna is fine too. Like the regular kind is okay. But yeah, it really does feel cleansing to sit there and to sweat all of that out of you. It feels amazing. I took some French in high school. You're an ass munch. Pardon my French. I've had experiences with Americans telling me how I should be ashamed for what we're like. Yeah, what? That's it. Like and that's the thing, Swap. You didn't do anything. A lot of focus is put on the accomplishments of Northern Europe. Yeah, I don't know. I going somewhere with a completely different culture sounds, as an introvert, sounds unbelievably fascinating and incredibly terrifying all at the same time. Because that's the thing. I've thought about that. You know, would I move to somewhere like Japan, somewhere that I'm very interested? And I worry because it would feel very lonely. You know, not only am I in a brand new place where I don't know anything, I'm also in a place where I don't know anybody to help me know things. And obviously from my D&D story earlier, being around a bunch of people who I don't feel are going to be very helpful to me as far as learning the environment is not a positive atmosphere for me. So I think that if it ever came down to moving to somewhere like Japan, I think there would be lots of trips over there before I could feel comfortable living there. The Dutch are like super chill people from my experience. People in because people in the U.S. blame everybody but themselves. Sorry, U.S. Sorry, us. But that's the reality. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and there are a lot of things that the U.S. is doing that is not great, and nobody wants to blame the U.S. for it. It's easier to believe that the U.S. is the reason for everything. You know, it's without getting too political, there are not other countries flying planes over us and blowing buildings sky high before we could even see it. I'm just saying. Being a black girl makes me nervous that someone would call the police on me and treat me like crap because of today's world. Rye, I am a dark-skinned male living in a primarily Caucasian neighborhood. I have been stopped by the police several times doing several different things. So the idea of going somewhere where the police are probably going to be called against me is not only new, it does not scare me as much as it should anymore. Autumn Clearwater, thank you for the invitation to the host club. I know that in Japan they aren't big fans of white people, so I've heard about. See, I've heard that about darker skin cultures in Japan, that they're just that they're just unaccustomed to seeing them. You know, I feel like in Japan they are very accustomed to seeing white people, white skinned people, because of the local tourism. You know, from what I call local tourism. You know, Australia and New Zealand and these places are very immediately right there. You know, you don't have to fly halfway around the world to go to Japan when you live in Australia. You do from here. So I feel like they and again, this is something that if you guys have been to Japan, you can let me know. But I feel like that they would be more accustomed to seeing white tourists as opposed to darker skinned tourists. I believe 100% that I would stick out like a sore thumb if I went there. I'm dark and I'm big. that is two things that is not super common in Japan. outside of the sumo camps, that is not a super common thing. But that's kind of why I want to go, so I can, you know, so people can see and like, oh my god, that guy's very unique looking. Okay, great. Have you seen the news about that lady blocking this guy from getting into his apartment? Ninja, I not only am disappointed but not surprised. What I don't like is that she won't face any kind of repercussions for it. I believe at the very least that the police should be fining her for filing a false report, because she called the police and she called them out there to deal with a problem that was not a problem at all. I believe that she should be fined for filing a false report with the police. You should come to the Netherlands. The police is a bit of a reverse problem here, where they're scared for public backlash, because that's the way it's supposed to be, Suave. I don't think that they should be scared, but I think that people are afraid of the police here, and realistically, the numbers dictate that it should be the other way around. I heard that visiting Japan can be rough if you're a darker skinned person. Yeah, and Minion, my interest would be in the places that are not tourist traps, which means that I would stick out even worse, and I feel like treatment would be even worse. Why can't we all just treat each other like people? Because I don't know. I wish I had an answer that was satisfying, but any answer that I have for that is not. Light-skinned black person is like a sin in America. Are they the stereotype like animals, or prefer light-skinned people? Even in anime and video games, black people are the background characters or stereotypically portrayed. Yeah, Rye, that unfortunately that does happen a lot. It's a little weird. I've heard black people make fun of other black people because they were darker. Like, is that weird? That can't be weird to just me. Like, that seems a little bit strange. That's like the pot calling the kettle blacker. Like, it doesn't. I don't get that. Like, why would you make fun of you get made fun of for the same thing? So does it help you to make fun of somebody else for literally the exact same thing? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I get looks just for being Mexican where I live. Feels bad. So do I. And I'm not Mexican. When I was a thug, I had a good amount of arguments with cops. You realize that some are mean and some don't like anyone. Yeah, Rocky, you know why? Because police are trained, and this is true. Police are trained to accept the realization that every time they go on a call, their life is in danger. Anybody could have a gun. Anybody could have a weapon on them. They go into the and it's I think it's important to understand that to at least understand where their behavior comes from. They get this training that every stop can be dangerous, and every time you pull somebody over, that person, you don't know what's going on, and that person could have a gun and everything. So what you're saying is you're creating a police culture where their mentality is every time I stop somebody, my life is in danger. So it's understandable that they get real defensive of that. They're being protective of their own lives. They want to go home at the end of the day. That's what they always say. We all want to go home at the end of the day. But it doesn't mean you get to treat people like crap. It doesn't mean that you get to be the violent offender first because they also might be a violent offender. You don't get to do that. Some of the older ones are decent. Yeah, I feel like older cops, believe it or not, lately have been more of the ones that are, I've been on this beat for 30 years. I know who's good and who's bad and who's going to cooperate and who's not. Like I feel like experience is very, very beneficial to that position. Light-skinned black people make fun of dark-skinned black people. It's been that way since the 1800s. Yeah, it really is. I would imagine why that it goes back even beyond that. I would imagine that for all we know, that started with slavery, where darker skinned people had different jobs. So it was tolerable for the lighter skinned dark people to make fun of them. Maybe it was a coping mechanism or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a historian, so I'm just kind of pulling this out of my ass. But that could very easily be where it started, and then it just sort of sort of trickled down. That's why it drives me crazy that I don't know. I have too much stuff on my plate that I need to worry about without creating some racial problem or and that was a big one. I remember talking to somebody and he was talking about how he is gay, and he was talking about how it's difficult to be able to befriend people because a lot of guys out there, you heard him, Greg, drop your pants. It's difficult because a lot of people, they do I don't know if I want to be friends with that guy. He might hit on me. Like he said that's sort of a problem that he kind of encounters, and then people don't know how to talk, how to act. And I remember I looked at him and I went, listen, I got a mortgage. I have utilities that I have to pay. I got to put food on the table. I got to cook that food. I got too much crap that I need to pay attention to in my life. And anybody who lives their life focusing on what other people are doing as a negative have too much time and too much money on their hands. They really do. If your life is brought down and your happiness is brought down because dark people exist or gay people exist or anybody exists that doesn't live your way of life, you have too much time and money on your hands. You are not putting that energy to where it needs to be, which is making sure that your family is taken care of, that your family is happy, and that your life is in order. That's the reality of it, because there's no reason for any of that stuff to affect you. When you see somebody who is dark, or you see two guys or two girls holding hands, that is happening over there. That is not happening to you. Nothing is affecting you. If you think that it is, why don't you go home and look at your bills and realize that you got your own shit. And I'm sorry, I try not to use a lot of bad language here, but you got your own shit that you need to worry about. And maybe you need to stop focusing on that, because when your life falls apart because you're not looking at it, you're just going to blame them too. You're going to say that, oh, well, it's their fault. And really, you're the asshole. It's like homophobe. I hate that. I do not like that term, homophobe. Phobia is a fear. You are not afraid of gay people. You're just an asshole. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant there. Got a little emotional. got a little worked up. I have a story as far. All right. You know what? We went on long enough. We went on a little bit longer than I was actually expecting to. We're not gonna do the game cleaning today, so I was only planning on taking this for an hour. So we'll see what happens. Sorry, YouTube, if anybody watched this far into the video, because normally I've gotten into the habit of doing a few topics and then breaking those topics up, but we kind of did one long thing today, so this is like an hour and 20-minute video if it goes up on YouTube like this. I want to thank you all for stopping in, for hanging out. We didn't crash. The stream did not crash today, which means it's going to crash right now. But the stream did not crash today. So what I'm hoping is that everything is fixed. I know that we have had streams that didn't crash. We didn't play a game, and I wonder if sometimes the game streaming is something that takes up more bandwidth, but that's not always the case. But we didn't crash. Maybe later I will stream a game, and then we will. Do I have a P.O. box for donations? I do not have a P.O. box for donations. I don't have any. So I think a P.O. box is like $50-something a year. I don't know that. And you got, if you fall under this category, you're about to start furiously typing. I don't know that anybody would be interested in sending me stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I would never, I can't justify a P.O. box because I can't imagine that someone's going to, I got games to send you. Like, it's just weird. I've had people ask me if they donated stuff to me, like if they wanted to, like at conventions, or if they donated games to me, would I play them? And I've always said I would play any game that is donated to me on the stream. I can't guarantee that I'm going to beat it because I may not like the game. Got to go to a protest early. Sweet. Yeah, I see it, Ryan. That's exactly why. I knew people were going to be like, oh, hold on a second here. But yeah, I guess I just could never justify it. I mean, if you guys want to, like, I don't know. what would you want to send me? Like, I have no idea. Just something that. Oh, okay. So nothing in particular. All right. Yeah, I wasn't really sure, like, because I have had people say, "Oh, I would love to send you this game." Like, that was an uncomfortable yet extremely important chat. Agent, the things that are important to discuss are often uncomfortable. I'll probably go to TMG again next year. Oh, absolutely. I assure you, I would be there. Rye food. I don't know if I would accept food. I'm always sort of iffy about that. I would accept prepackaged food. Don't wrap up your mom's mac and cheese and send it to me in a box. You're making the stream too long. Yeah, I apologize, YouTube. I'm making it even longer. But I am gonna go right now. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. If you have any further questions, we normally do a little bit of viewer topics every week. So if you do have any questions, stop in next week, and we do a portion of the show where we open up games, and that's usually where I take, and I clean the games out, and then that's usually where I take, I'd love to donate. See, everybody's saying it now. So I would love to see some questions. If you are watching this on YouTube, check the links down below and follow me over on Twitch. We stream this show here every Friday, normally between 3 and 5. I've been doing between 5 and about 7 lately. It goes back and forth. Also follow me on Twitter so I can tell you where to find what time we're going to be streaming that day. If you are watching this right now, check the links down below and follow me over on YouTube. And if you are watching this now on a VOD, do both. And right. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Did I do all the calls to action? Like, comment, and subscribe, and do all of that stuff. All right. So thank you guys very much. Stick around after the closing screen. I'm gonna make a credit screen. I gotta make a credit screen. But stick around after the closing screen, and we will figure out who to raid. So for right now, okay. So for right now, have a great night. Be good and have fun weekends, and I will see you all next week.